Welcome back to another edition of From Beyond Champaign. I'm Cody. You can follow me on all the social platforms at Cody_CHGO. It's late night, Illini therapy session, my friend.
This shows how old I am, because a younger Cody would still be out at the bar, probably just absolutely inhaling beers, especially after a loss like this one. But we get older and we decide to stay inside. And you know what's the worst part is that my New Year's resolution for this year was to not drink until opening day of baseball season, because I felt like I could do it for 3 months, because at least I have Illinois basketball. This was a game where I just wanted to drink a couple beers after. Actually, I wanted to drink a couple beers during because it was exhausting to watch, and it was brutal to watch. Every bad word you can think of, that's what watching this game was like this morning. Illinois loses 82-72 at home. Number 13, Illinois loses 82-72 at home to USC, a team that was 9-6 coming into this game, who just got beat up by Indiana the same amount of days ago that you played. A team that is projected to probably finish in the bottom half of the Big Ten. My friends, there's a saying out there. It's hope is a dangerous thing. Hope is a dangerous thing, right? I've been doing a lot of hoping for a lot of teams that I like over the years, right? And I try to have mild expectations with Illinois basketball. Even coming into this year, didn't really know what we're going to get, trying to enjoy the ride, all that, right? I think if you would have told me that this was going to happen a month ago, I probably wouldn't have been surprised. But I guess I'm just I'm riding a high. I'm riding a high right now that, it's a high. It was a high that I couldn't bring down any, because they were so fun to watch the last 5 games before today. The dog is barking. Hi. Hey, are you okay? Hi. Sorry. Anyway. Hold on, guys. Hold on. Hey. Hey, Bailey. Yeah. The dog is upset. Bailey is upset about Illinois today. Anyway, where was I? Oh, yes. The high that I was on before the game today. I mean, I think we were all on it. We were all very optimistic. They beat Penn State by 40 without Kasparis Jakushonis, and then that happens, and it's just like, it was a reality check. It was we all just got humbled feeling. That's how I feel about this one, basically. Let me know in the chat how you guys are feeling. I don't expect a large crowd. It's Saturday night. And admittedly, I just don't expect anyone to be on YouTube right now. But, yeah, it was – I can't say that I was super surprised, because I've seen this movie before. There's something about these 11 a.m. tips, these 11 a.m. tip-offs for Illinois in January every year. Last season, it was against Maryland at home. That was a 1 p.m. tip. What's up with these early tips on the weekends where Illinois just comes out flat and lays down against a team that they should handle, even without their best player? Make it make sense to me. Am I supposed to just accept this, that this is a thing, that this will always be a thing? I don't know. But either way, to me, it's the biggest thing that bothers me about it is if you're trying to win the Big Ten conference, if you're trying to get a good seed in the NCAA tournament, you just can't lose these games, man. You just can't lose these games. And now you're putting yourself in a position where you got to go on the road for the next two and play two tough teams, comparable teams. I know Indiana just got steamrolled by Iowa tonight, but you know they're going to be up for this game, especially at home, right? And then you go to Michigan State the following Sunday and play an 11 a.m. tip game there on the road. Are you going to show up for that 11 a.m. game? Like, I said on the last show that winning this game against USC was pivotal because it allows you to perhaps drop one of the next two. And now, after dropping that game, I feel like they need to win the next two. Could they certainly win the next two? Yes. And I think Kasparis Giakousonis' health is very much important in that actually playing out. But it's just a bad loss. It's objectively a bad loss. I think two things can for sure be true. They didn't have Kasparis Giakousonis, and I think we basically saw the floor of this team without him. And we saw the ceiling of this team without him against Penn State. So can we get something in the middle against Indiana if he doesn't play on Tuesday or Wednesday, whatever day that game is? It's either Tuesday or Wednesday, right? Can we get something in the middle, right? I think this team can go to Indiana and win without KJ, but it will be incredibly tough. But I don't know if they can beat Michigan State. And when I say I think they can do it against Indiana, I don't really necessarily feel confident because, again, Indiana will get up for that game. And despite how bad their coaching is, they still have the talent to hang around. So I obviously we have to wait for KJ and his injury status. But as we sit here right now, I think that's what bothers me the most about this loss is the fact that now you have to play two tough games on the road, and you could potentially lose ground in the Big Ten regular season conference standings. So that's my overall reaction to this one. To start, there's a lot of things to talk about in this one. Again, let me know you guys' thoughts. Small crowd in here tonight so far, but we got a comment here from Riley. He sent it before I even started. It says can't afford to lose these kinds of games. Hope KJ heals up and gets back out there. Thanks for all you do, Cody, on CHGO and on this podcast. Hey, Riley, I appreciate that. And yeah, I agree. You can't afford to lose these types of games, even with or without KJ. And I think we're just seeing the value that KJ brings. We're seeing the value that KJ brings to this team, and we already knew it. But you can go listen to the last show. Like we were all on a high that I don't think we felt in a while. Where like we're already dreaming about next season, how this team could be good. Because a lot of guys can return and this and that. And I don't regret saying any of that. I'm still excited about what next year could bring if a lot of these guys come back. But you can see what this team is without an alpha. And in the two games without KJ, they haven't really had an alpha emerge. Ben Humrickhouse got hot from three and made some shots. And that's why Illinois, went on that 34-4 run against Penn State. And Trey White had a nice game. And, they were hitting shots from the outside, right? They didn't hit shots today. They didn't hit shots today. 7 for 32 from three. And honestly, some of the threes they took today, they were ill-advised. They were quick in the shot clock whenever you're, I think the best offense we saw from them today was when they would drive the basket and get to the free throw line. Like they took some ill-advised shots. Will Riley took one in the second half when I kind of felt like they still had the game intact. That was just bad. And then I think USC scored in the following possession. it, I don't know. I'm not out on Will Riley. I'm not saying he should sit and they should play someone else over him. I don't know what Kerry Booth did to get put in the doghouse, but I'm going to say that Will Riley isn't doing anything to where Kerry Booth doesn't deserve a shot. I'll say that much. Maybe that's overreactionary of me to say. I, again, I think Will Riley is going to blossom at some point. And I do think his second half today, outside of taking that bad 3-point attempt, was encouraging. He had some drives to the basket. He had some drives to the basket, got to the free throw line once. He just didn't hit any threes. Again, 7 points, 1 rebound, 2 assists. It's nothing special in his time. Like if you just look at the box score alone, and he only played 19 minutes. But it was like the first time I'd really seen him like try and go to the basket and not get bullied around or pushed around, I guess. So I don't know. Maybe I'm way off on it. I'm not. Again, the point though is he's not doing anything that should be putting Kerry Booth in the doghouse. And as long as KJ is still out, I feel like you gotta maybe give him an opportunity. That's all I'm asking. Now, if KJ is back in the lineup against Indiana, then you can basically disregard this because you'll have another guy that can provide you some scoring, and Will Riley can go back to coming off the bench, and maybe just maybe things will turn around for him. Trey White had a bad game today. I thought he was aggressive. I thought he was getting good shots, but he wasn't finishing at a lot of them. Did go to the free throw line 5 times, but 3 of 12, 0 of 4 from 3, right? 11 points on 12 shots. Not great, just not efficient. And he had been really efficient over the last month and a half. I think I can say that about a lot of guys. At least he was aggressive, just didn't make shots. I'm not even really mad about Kylan Boswell going 2 of 8 for 10 points. He went to the free throw line 7 times. Or not 7 times, but he had 7 free throw attempts, 8 rebounds, 6 assists, 5 steals. He was great defensively today. He was awesome defensively. But he had 6 turnovers. I'll say that much. And he was 0 of 5 from 3. And some of the threes, there's some of those ill-advised threes I was talking about. Get an early shot clock pick at the top and pull it from 30 feet and brick. Sometimes they felt a little ill-advised. Sometimes they felt like we're rushing it here. Whenever USC didn't necessarily have some massive presence in the interior, and you got into the bonus and you just didn't take advantage of it enough. So I thought they took too many threes. I know they want to shoot a lot of threes. That's like part of their game plan. It's part of their, identity, their coaching staff's analytical view of things. I get it. And I'm here for it because if you're not, you're probably not going to go far in March. That's just the state of, I don't even think it's just college basketball. I think it's just in basketball these days. The best teams are shooting a lot of threes, and they're good at it. And this Illini team, when they get hot from 3, they're unstoppable. But then they have games like this where they can't make a 3 to save their life. 21% today. Can we get something consistent? Can we get it? Can we shoot 30 to 35% from 3 on a consistent basis? If we're going to shoot 33s, can we consistently, shoot 30 to 35%? Is that asking for too much? I can say that as much as they shot some ill-advised ones, they did get a lot of open ones as well. So, it's just the fact that shots didn't drop for them, and there were some ill-advised ones. And this is where I'll say, like, not having KJ was a big part. When when like you felt like the game tides were perhaps shifting. For example, in the later part of the second half, when USC pushed it to 6, 8, 10 points, you felt like Illinois needed to go down, and you just needed someone to get a basket for you. That's when you needed Kasparas-Jakasjonas. He's your alpha. He's your guy that can go get you a shot anytime and knock it down. He's shown that all season. And they didn't have that today. And no one stepped up. The thing is, though, is that I don't know if anyone else on this team can do that. Like they have a lot of talent, but there's no one else on this team that's a projected top 10 lottery pick right now. It's just the fact of the matter. So while, again, I'm not saying that this loss is excusable because you didn't have Kasparas-Jakasjonas, there are points in this game where if you had him, maybe things go a little bit differently. Maybe he saves you like he did at Washington. Maybe he saves you like, he did against Wisconsin. These are just things that I was thinking about during it. Bailey. I'm sorry, guys. Bailey. Bailey doesn't like it. She's very upset with Illinois right now, and I don't blame her. She always barks whenever someone comes into the building. Anyway, you're getting a little bit of taste of what it's like here at my house tonight. So like I was saying, with Kasparas, his presence on the court alone, whether it's against a good team or a bad team, I think it's important. And just sucks that you didn't have him in some of those moments today. So it is what it is. Illinois, if they even play 75%, if they played 75% as well as they did against Penn State, they probably win this game today. Unfortunately, they didn't play anywhere close to that. I thought they looked like more of like what their floor is without KJ today. Because if they had played Indiana or Michigan State, Michigan, any of those teams, I think they get steamrolled today. And they were lucky to be in this game, I think. So, well, we're about 18 minutes in. I listened to Brad's post game, and I always give Brad a lot of credit for this. He takes accountability. He took accountability for this loss. He basically blamed himself for this loss, and I appreciate that. I don't know how much fans really care. As someone who watches a lot of losing here in Chicago, no coach here wants to take accountability for anything. They want to blame it on everyone else. So I don't. When Brad takes accountability, I actually really appreciate it, since no one else in of the teams that I like to take accountability. But he basically said that he overreacted to one of the players for USC hitting a couple threes. I think it was AG for USC, who had a couple threes early in the first half, and it somehow led to him not playing Tomislav Isovic enough. At least that's how I took it while listening to his post-game presser. And I will say that it was weird to not see Isovic out there, and as much, at least, especially in the second half, especially whenever they're just bigger. Like Illinois is bigger than them. And I don't know why he wasn't out there for longer stretches, especially in the second half. They tried to go small and take it and do something there. And I don't get it, considering it's not like they were dominating the boards at all. They actually were terrible on the boards today. They actually lost the rebounding game today, 37-34. They had 3 offensive rebounds at half. They finished with 9. For the team that they went up against, they should have absolutely had more rebounds, and they should have dominated the rebounding game. There's a reason they were 14.5-point favorites coming into this game, in size, and on top of the fact of how well they were playing, probably played a factor into that, right? So I know a lot of people are down on Isevic right now. He's kind of become the new Humrick House. Humrick House has started to play better. Now Isevic is struggling here in Big Ten play. He played 17 minutes. He's got to play more than 17 minutes. That's all I can say. This is probably the lowest amount of minutes he's played for the season. I don't know, man. I don't know what it is. He had 6 field goal attempts. He did make a 3, went to the free throw line, at least in this one, but 3 rebounds. Like, he just was not in the flow of the game. And Brad talked a lot in his post-game presser about how the offensive flow of the game for Illinois is so much better with KJ and Isevic. They're kind of like co-partners in that and helping it go through. And I can understand what he means by that, because they do a lot of pick and roll with them too. And Isevic is a good passer, so if KJ were to hit him on the pick and roll, pick and pop, their offense kind of goes through one of the two, whether it's KJ making a move to the basket or shooting the ball, or he passes it to Isevic and then they reverse it and it leads to something else happening, right? That's kind of how I took it. Like, they just play a big part in how they run their offense. And you didn't have KJ, and you didn't do anything with Isevic today. Played a big part in why they lost the game, I think. So they need to get him going. They absolutely need to get him going. And how are they going to do that? I don't know how they're going to do that without Kasperczak-Jonas. And that's the frustrating part about it. And on top of the fact that he just hasn't played well, I'm trying to figure out, like I said in the last show, I feel like maybe if they can get him some post touches early, maybe that would help him. And I didn't feel like they did that early in this game either. Maybe I'm onto something. Maybe Brad will try that in the next game. He's got to go up against Omar Ballo at IU in the next game, and that's going to be a tough matchup. At least against Penn State, I can make the argument that his defense, his presence defensively and rebounding was there, and I feel like I can say that for the most part. But in this game, he just was not part of this one. Basically a non-factor in this game. So this was probably the worst that we'll see from Isevic. But we definitely need to see more. We need to see better. But Brad, again, like I said, I appreciate that he takes accountability. And so I'm expecting Isevic to be a big part of the next game, especially since it's a big matchup that he's going to have to handle in Ballo, right? So we'll see how that one goes. He also said that he overreacted and he should have kept Humrick House on Claude. I think the way they were guarding Claude, he should have changed. And whether it was whoever was guarding him, but like, he was just getting to the basket at will. If they could have kept him out there shooting those mid-range shots, he probably doesn't finish with 31 points on 20 shots. He got to the basket at will in that second half, especially. And so, that's definitely on Brad. It's whether it's him or it's DJ Davis from Washington. I'm trying to think of just these random dudes who just have career days against Illinois. Like, I don't know what to really say other than as someone who defends Brad for a lot of things, his in-game adjustments are questionable at times. And I can say that while also being a supporter. And so in this game, I hope he learns from it. I hope he takes the experience from this game and they they don't make the same mistake against a similar type team or a similar type player, because Claude doesn't shoot threes. He didn't beat you from 3-point land at all in this game, and he put up 31. So you got to adjust quicker on that, right? So that's kind of my takeaway on how they defended Claude. I give him all the credit. He took advantage of how Illinois was guarding him, and he got it going, and he literally carried USC in this game. I think it also helped that USC, even though they made less threes than Illinois, they also only shot 14 of them. So they weren't throwing away possessions. And when I say throwing away possessions in this instance, again, Illinois shot 32 threes and only made 7. And through that process, yes, there were plenty of them that they absolutely were good looks, but then there were also a bunch of them that they didn't need to take, and they were ill-advised. So they're basically like empty possessions. They're basically another form of a turnover, but just technically not a turnover. Illinois had 15 turnovers in this one. So it didn't help that they turned the ball over and they missed a bunch of threes. Would I say the turnovers are the reason they lost this game too? I guess in some aspect. I don't know how many turnovers they had at halftime, but they had a handful of turnovers early, and watching it early, I felt like this is not going to be an easy one. This is playing out exactly how I felt it could in every worst case scenario, which was 11 a.m. tip. We're going to come out flat. We're going to turn the ball over. We're going to let this USC team believe that they can win this game on the road. And what's crazy is the way they closed the half. I was like, okay, we're in control, especially how they had the lead at half after trailing the entire first half. And then just they did not come out in the second half and stomp on their throats like they should have. Turnovers, I thought, had a big part in that. So it's overall just a disappointing loss, my friends. No other way to put it. No excuses. I can't defend Brad for much of anything in this one. I have a lot of concerns with Isevich right now. I have a lot of concerns with Will Riley. I am trying to figure out what I should be looking for in Kylan Boswell more so right now with Kasparis Jakashonis out, because his defense is awesome. He's a great facilitator. He rebounds the ball. He gets after the offensive boards too. But man, he cannot hit a shot right now, and he can't make a three right now if his life depended on it. And with KJ out, they need him to be a scorer as well. They simply do, So I don't know what I should be. Should I be mad or not at him? It's hard for me to, considering he does so much for you on the court. So anyway, Brad also said post game that KJ is like day by day, and that apparently there's some swelling in that forearm right now, and he just doesn't know. He just wouldn't reveal if he's going to be able to play against Indiana or anything. So right now, for the next couple days, I'm just going to play it as if it's a 50-50 shot that he's going to play against Indiana, I guess. That's where I'm at. I'm not banking on him playing against IU, but the way Brad is just not really revealing anything, I don't really know what to think. But it's frustrating, to say the least. Now, before I close the show, I will say this. As much as I think that it's not really an excuse that you lost this game because you didn't have Kasparis Jakashonis, I do think in the long run, if this team bounces back, if this team, still is putting them in position to win the Big Ten. We'll look back on this one and we'll just throw it up at we'll throw it up as an outlier game like we did with Maryland last year when they lost to Maryland at home last year. I'm trying to remember what happened after they beat Maryland last year. I was looking it up on my phone today. And as we know, Brad Underwood teams have always been good in January, right? I have it up right now. So last season, January 14th, they lost. It was a Sunday 1 p.m. game. They lost at home against Maryland 76-67. 2 days later, they blew out Michigan. Michigan was terrible, so whatever. They blew out Michigan. They blew out Rutgers. They weren't good either. They went to Northwestern, which that was the Terrence Shannon return game from the suspension, and they lost in overtime 96-91. So you got to remember the game against Maryland as well. They did not have Terrence Shannon in that game. So, you want a little bit of a spin zone. You want a little bit of, some blind optimism. When Terrence Shannon first went out with that suspension, when he first went out, they blew out Northwestern by 30 at home. They lost to Purdue, but they only lost by 5 at Purdue. And then they beat Michigan State. So I think my point that I'm getting at here is that even last year without Terrence Shannon, we saw kind of a little bit of everything without their best player. Of course, they had Marcus Domask, who was awesome for them, right? But I think without Kasparashak Ashonas, you have to have some sort of leveled expectation that this team just isn't as good without him. Really, no excuse to lose this game again, but I'm expecting a better performance against Indiana, whether KJ plays or not. That's what I'll say. I think that's the easiest way I can say it. I'm expecting better, and I expect Brad to have them prepared and motivated for sure. And I don't think it's going to take Brad to do this. Like they're going to be motivated. It's a rivalry game. They're going on the road. It's going to be a tough, rowdy environment. And it's Indiana's going to be looking to bounce back too after a really bad road loss at Iowa. So I still think at this point, this game coming up is more important for Indiana to win based off their non-conference schedule and based off their wins in general. But Illinois needs to win this game coming up against IU because, A, to me, it's still their conference to lose. B, they're the better team in general. They're the better coach team. And 3, if you want to win the Big Ten, you got to win a game like this. Going into January, I thought that this game against Indiana is a game that they're not going to win because I'm down on Indiana, and because I'm so down on them, it would absolutely be a game that Illinois would just blow my mind and lose to. I'm coming off a loss now. Maybe my opinion can change, but Indiana's also coming off a loss, and they're going to be playing at home. So it's going to be tough. So anyway, guys, that's all I really have. This one sucks. This is far and away the worst loss of the year. This is worse than losing at Northwestern when you led by 5 with 2 minutes to go. At least Northwestern is a how do I say this? They're a team in the mix. I think USC is going to be at the bottom of the Big Ten, and I don't think they're going to be in play to even get like anything close to an at-large bid. I think Northwestern at least is going to be in the mix for like a last 4 in or something at least. That's what I think. So we'll see. I got nothing else, but let me know in the comments if you're watching this when it's not live. Let me know in the comments your thoughts from this game. Maybe I'll read some on the next show. I'll try and do a little bit of a couple days after, maybe a little preview for Indiana, maybe have a guest on. I was just on Locked On Illini the other day with Sonny Verma previewing this game. And, of course, we both were like, yeah, Illinois should win this game. Forgot to mention that it's an 11 a.m. game, right? So, I don't know. Maybe we'll do something. But, yeah, I'm going to take tomorrow to just kind of forget about it. I'm going to just try to forget about it and get back on the horse on Monday and hopefully feel better and feel optimistic going into this next week. This next week is in my opinion, is pivotal in terms of winning the Big Ten or just, measuring stick for this team, because we had such good vibes the last couple of weeks. It made you dream a little bit, but we forgot that they're still a young team that only has one guy returning from their Elite Eight team last year, and this and that. This is, I made the argument that if things kept going well for Illinois, that Brad Underwood could win Coach of the Year in the Big Ten or the National Coach of the Year finally. This is where Brad Underwood earns his Coach of the Year now. Like, how does this team respond against Indiana and Michigan State? Like, just how does this team respond this next week? Hopefully KJ can play. If he doesn't, whatever. But this is where Brad makes his money, in my opinion. He always gets his team up after a loss. They very rarely win, or they very rarely lose consecutive games. So I said this in my video I put up on TikTok earlier. After they lost to Northwestern, they responded and beat Wisconsin. After they lost to Tennessee and had to sit around and wait for a week to play, they beat Mizzou and the refs in that one, right? So I expect them to be back up and ready to go against IU. But obviously they got to prove it. And yeah, that's just the bottom line. But we'll see. All right. I don't think I said this at all on this one. Hit the like button for me on YouTube. Sorry for my dog barking during this show. Thanks for hanging around. For the ones who dealt with it, we'll monitor that next time. And yeah, I appreciate y'all's support. We did hit 600 subscribers on my YouTube channel today, so I appreciate the few people who came and subscribed over the last couple days. We'll see. I'm still optimistic to maybe hit 1,000 before the end of the season, but we'll just keep chugging along no matter what, either way. But I appreciate y'all's support. So hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, send it to a friend, and I will see you all in the next one. Illinois loses 82-72. If you're like me and you're not drinking to get through bad losses from your favorite sports teams, my recommendation is a cheesy gordita crunch from Taco Bell. 1 to maybe 10 of them, give or take. Maybe a little ice cream from Cold Stone. That's what I actually did today. A little ice cream, a little cookie dough. It definitely helped me feel better. All right. As always, guys, I'll see you in the next one. IL.